Hello, people. Welcome back to your Manchester United podcast with your host, Usmaan Akhtar. As always, drop a like, subscribe. This is the first podcast that we are doing live. So it gives you guys the perfect opportunity to get yourselves in the comment section. Leave comments for these guys. We're waiting for Jem. I don't know where Jem is, but I'm kind of outnumbered here. 2v1. Obviously, the boys are what I'm talking about. And if you don't know who these guys are, obviously we got Benji and Jack. Boys, how you doing?
Doing good.
Yeah, I'm good.
Good to have you both on. As always, we are using something we've not used before, which is StreamYard, as you can see by the top right. Just testing it out. Let us know what you guys think about that. As always, their links will be in the description, so go and follow them on social media. My fellow Man United fans, so obviously we've got to help each other out. Anyways, there's a lot to discuss. There's only one place to start. To losing to Chelsea. If you haven't seen Benji's fan cam, wow, it's an absolute treat. Obviously, check that out. But we're gonna go into more detail here because obviously this is an opportunity for us to discuss further where we think the frailties were. I've not actually heard your opinions on it from yesterday, Jack, because obviously your connection wasn't great. So we'll come to you first. We've had a time to for it to settle in, so to speak. How are you feeling now, Jack, about the game yesterday?
A little bit disappointed, but obviously, as I was saying the other day, I wouldn't have really. It was not the end of the world. I mean, everyone looked tired. We saw Maguire, we saw Bruno. Half the, across the pitch, we just looked tired because we only played a game on Thursday. He didn't make many changes. I assumed he was going to make more, but he didn't. And then the performance just seemed a bit slow and a bit sloppy. And Bruno's passing wasn't up to scratch. And then Martial came on, and he looked, if anything, too energetic for everyone else because people were trying to pass him the ball and Martial was running past it, and I don't know what sort of went wrong. Even Matic, who's normally the man at the back, who's in front of the defence, making sure everything's fine. Even he looked a bit past it and tired. He was being sloppy. Yeah, just all together, I think it was just a tired performance, really.
Right. So Jack's clearly indicated, the performance was down to tiredness. Benji, what do you attribute the performance to?
I think it's a mixture of three things. Obviously, you say tiredness. My favourite topic, coaching, and also I just think the people that came in, they lacked the hunger and desire of the original first teamers, and you could just see how the level dropped. Everyone that came in, their level dropped to like what, 4 out of 10 at best. So, and then, if you want to play for Manchester United, if you're on the bench, look at people like Hernandez, Jason Park, Darren Fletcher, these type of guys. When they came in, they made sure they put in their best performances. So next week on Wednesday, Ollie has no oh my gosh, Dan James is so good, I'm going to start. No, he's going to start his same team. So
it's going to be.
They missed out on a fantastic opportunity to cement place in the first team. To be fair,
we've just got a message from here as well from Boston. Everything that could have possibly gone wrong went wrong yesterday. Jack, what do you feel regarding that comment? Because I feel like, I suppose you could say that, but I felt like we was the architects of our own downfall as well. Everything did go wrong, but that was down to us that everything did go wrong.
Yeah, no, I agree with the comment completely, and I agree with what Benji was saying. I know that people are obviously. I'm not Ollie's biggest fan. We know that, but
and
the coaching.
Cue there, Michael said no Ollie tirades.
What does that mean?
Don't be hating on Ali. That's what it means, mate.
No, I'm not.
I'm joking, but
No. But tactically, yesterday he could have dealt with it better. And obviously, he's relatively young as a coach. He's not been coaching for long. Well, at the top of his game anyway. And I suppose he might learn from that. Maybe Fergie in his early days. Obviously, I suppose one of us are really. I'm not old enough to remember him in the 80s. But I think just tactically, the substitutions, the way it started. The lack of it was kind of seemed like it was a bit like a Sunday league sort of attempt at it. Like, here, all right, you lads played last week. The rest of you now have to make up and try, and that just seemed what it was. And it just, as Benji was saying, the lack of effort when people who were coming in to replace. You think that there was some form of, some of them are on the fringe of being, like Dan James. He should be coming in and giving it his all, and I'm sure he did give it his all, but. Like, tactically, we just seemed very off. It just wasn't. Well, it wasn't a great performance, but
Yeah, I completely agree in terms of obviously, I'm not to pick on Dan James because I personally don't have any critique of Dan James in that game yesterday. Yes, he disciplined his position. Let's be real in it. I do agree with both of you actually for once. And obviously Benji knows this. I put a lot of blame on Ollie Doorstep. I thought he messed up yesterday. Benji's smiling. He's like, "Oh, here we go." But no, I obviously, sometimes you've got to say like when someone's in the wrong. And I think Ollie himself will look at that and think, "No, he's messed up there." We have got a comment here by Sam. I'll just put it on the screen. I'll just put it on the screen again. He said that even if De Gea didn't make those mistakes, I still think we were going to lose. We played so poorly, and that comes back obviously not only to Ollie but the players as well. So we'll talk about Ollie in a bit more detail. Obviously, Easy's put both Wan-Bissaka and Brandon Williams got bullied. Again, some of the, mentioning some of the players. Benji, obviously, we'll come to Ollie a bit later on. Obviously, I know you guys got strong opinions on that matter. But regarding the players themselves, as Jack just said, some of the players they need to grasp the opportunity. Do you feel, obviously, it's quite clear they did do that, but some of them haven't actually got an excuse. They're not tired. Yes, they've not played that many games like Fred. But at the same time, if you're at Manchester United, you're not going to get many opportunities. And when they have come in, they've been the polar opposite. If anything, our fans are now more inclined to think we're desperate for squad depth, if anything. So what are your thoughts on that?
Personally, I think that... feedback. But personally, I think that, like I said before, to play for Manchester United, you have to... Hold on. Yeah, like I said before, to play for Manchester United, you have to be able to be at the top of your game 24/7. Because at the end of the day, starting spots at Manchester United, teams like Man United, Chelsea, Liverpool, all these top teams, it's very hard to stay at that level for even 5 years of your career. So once you get that chance, you have to take it. Like I said, people like Darren Fletcher, Nani was at first team when he first joined us. People like Tevez, they bullied their way into the squad. And I feel like people like Fred and McTominay, Dan James, all these people that come off the bench, Bailly, for example, even though it's a bit sad on him, all the people that come off the bench, they haven't shown why they should be at Manchester United Football Club. And for us to move as a big club, how we're moving, we have to have people that are even on the bench that are ready to take the team to another level. Because at the end of the day, if you bring on Fred, he's not changing the game for me. So it's like, how are these players, when we get players in the summer, are these players going to still be on the bench and we're going to sell them? Because they're not good enough start for the first team. And if you're not going to impact the game with the bench, then serious question has to be asked.
Yeah, that's a valid point, and this is where I'm going with this. Like, obviously, again, I'm not trying to scapegoat any players, but exactly what you just said there. If you got players like, again, I'm not trying to just pick on Fred, but a Fred on the bench or like a Pereira, obviously we know Pereira in particular is not good enough, but like a Fred, Lingard, Dan James, players like that on the bench. Okay, granted, you could have a fantastic 11, but there's no inspiration off the bench. There's literally, you can't make any changes, and that's why I feel like Ollie, in some cases, his hands have been tied in the last couple of weeks. Like you mentioned earlier, Jack, it does seem like the players are fatigued, and although I massively critique Ollie in terms of his lack of rotation in that game, but who's he meant to rotate for? Like just Benji just said, you bring in a Fred who's not really played any games. He still has a disaster. Williams, again, is a young lad, but he's not played many games either. Dan James not played many games. So these guys aren't tired, and they didn't really grasp the opportunity. So do you think this kind of further emphasizes the importance of us going out and buying more players in this window coming up?
I mean, I think yesterday was the perfect sort of showcase for the lack of the fundamental lack of squad depth that we have. It shows that beyond our first 11, who we can't rely on to play every 5 days, because obviously with the pandemic that's happened, when everything gets back to normal, it will be a game a week apart from Champions League and cups. Okay, but it still shows that the minute that our first team can't play the first 11, and that includes Greenwood at right wing. I mean, he's still only fresh 18. I know people go, "Oh, age is just a number," and if he's 17 and 18 and he's good enough, he can play every game. Yeah, but he's still a kid. He's not at the prime of his career. He still can't be just. He will get given plenty of games next season, no doubt, but he can't be just thrown out there every game, because look what happens when you do. What do the opposition do? They antagonise and
Yeah.
Like him because he's young, and he'll skin a 35-year-old defender, and then in response to that, with their experience, they'll crunch him.
Yeah, true.
And then he's injured, and then that's what. Then what? We're relying on Dan James if we don't get Sancho.
Exactly. That's the problem as well. I've seen so many United fans, and I know Benji will be able to vouch for this as well. We don't need Sancho. We don't need Sancho. Me and Benji were like, what? What are you talking about? Like a couple of good games, and then people are just obviously they're losing their head. We got a few comments coming in. Obviously, keep them coming. I will try and get through as many as I possibly can. If you are watching live, obviously drop a like and subscribe if you haven't already. But we've got another question. Another comment here from Michael. I think is very fitting to what we're talking about. Not having a good bench is a result of trash recruitment even in the last 7 years. How much of this is the board's fault, though, Benji? Obviously, I don't want to go by the board.
100%.
We didn't lose yesterday's game because of the board,
Yeah.
so I'm not saying that. But I'm just saying we're looking at the bigger picture here because obviously this is just a small thing in it in the bigger picture. Obviously, we're talking about even after Ollie's time. So, what do you reckon?
It's the board's fault, 100%. You see, the lack of recruitment. Even the thing is, what I will say all the time: systems and coaches and stuff have to be in place because there's no plan from the board. Do you understand? So every person we signed over the past 5-6 years, it's not like, for example, Di Maria, Falcao. Then you go down to Depay, Martial. Like, can we make up our mind? Are we going to go for experience or we're going to go for youth players? Like, we're not. There's no there was no strategy.
Structure.
Structure. There was nothing, and I think that's down to Ed Woodward's poor recruitment and also the managers that come in as well. A lot of the managers we've had play different style of football. Moyes is a defensive coach. Went to Van Gaal, who wants possession football. Who went back to Mourinho, who's defensive. And then you went to Ollie, who's a bit of defensive, attacking, counter-attacking, a bit of everything. Like
I genuinely thought you were going to say, well, we don't know why Ollie does.
Yeah, he's like a rainbow. He's a mix of everything. So
okay, that's good. That's versatile. I like it.
Yeah, so it's like we don't all the players we're signing. It's just like, for example, Fellaini, he's the perfect example. Fellaini is not a footballer for the Van Gaal era. For Van Gaal, he's a Moyes baller. Do you get what I'm saying? Van Gaal likes Schweinsteiger, Carrot, them type of people that can pass the ball.
Yeah.
Fabregas, Toni Kroos, them type of people. Now, if we go to Ollie's system, it's now Pogba, Bruno, and etc. Mourinho was Herrera, Pogba. It's all so different. Like,
Mourinho was anyone tall, innit? Anyone taller than 6 foot got into
and
Mourinho's
Herrera.
team.
We didn't know.
Oh yeah, Herrera.
So
Herrera was a shit house, innit? So Jose loved it.
It
But
was
I completely agree, man. Obviously, like Michael said, it's down to the poor recruitment, as in terms of the reason why we're not even close to where we want to be. Jack, where do you think in terms of Ollie? Obviously, again, like I'll touch upon his tactics, etc. Surely, but in terms of recruitment, I don't want to say how many signings you think we'll get to challenge him, but how many signings do you think we'll be into a challenge? Like, how close do you think we are? How far do you think we are? Do you think you can't even see that far because we're so far off?
I think fundamentally, the first 11 now is good enough to get top 4. And obviously, the squad depth is non-existent. Where we've seen that. I'd say obviously we don't actually have right wing sorted. I know Greenwood's playing there, but we all know that he's a striker. So that technically he'll be up top eventually. In 5-6 years when Martial's in this, long that will be for Greenwood.
Yeah, definitely.
But I think we need. I don't know. I'd say I'm not Shaw's biggest fan. He's okay. We're not going to go. If we're going to go and buy a player, we're not going to buy left back because we have to. So you just have to accept that. I don't rate Shaw, but accept he's there. That's fine. We got Dalot and AWB, so that's fine. I suppose if we've got Maguire, if you're going to have Maguire there, I think you need someone fast with a bit of energy and a bit of youth, which unfortunately Bailly could provide if he could stay fit, but he can't. So I'd say we need a centre back at least, a right winger. I suppose we're stacked in midfield for the defensive players because we have Scott, Fred, but are they all good enough to win the league? If the minute we take Bruno and Pogba off, we go sideways and backwards instead of forward.
Yeah,
that's the problem, innit? We just haven't got. We haven't got that depth of it. That is an issue, like you just mentioned. Obviously, with Bruno and Pogba coming off. I think every Man United fan knows that now. I just want to read out a couple of the comments before we obviously go into Ollie's tactics yesterday, because obviously there's a lot to discuss there. We'll start with this one first, and I'll let you guys have your say. So this one's from John. De Gea, Maguire, Lindelof making 2 minutes mistakes. Must fix up before West Ham. So I'll come to you first, Benji. Yeah, obviously, you know, the fullbacks is quite clear that they've been poor for the last couple of games. I'm not going to say because Shaw's not here, because, you know, just say it's not coincidence that Shaw's not been playing and the fullbacks have been terrible. I'm just saying. But yeah, let's talk about the two centre-backs and the goalkeeper, because let's be real, these guys are experienced pros, man. Like, obviously, Maguire's come for a huge price tag. Lindelof's international, and we know about De Gea anyway. So, Benji, what are your thoughts on that three? Because that is like, obviously, that's our spine, isn't it, really?
I think for once, I think people are overreacting on this subject. I think the thing is, a lot of people go from suddenly we have the second best defense in the league, so when we have a few poor games, Lindelof is not good enough. I won't say Lindelof is not decent with Maguire, because I just think what it is that there's sometimes the balls that come through to them are quite easy for me personally. I feel like one of their biggest problems is in the air. Maguire doesn't look that dominant in the air, and Lindelof is not dominant in the air. I don't think he's that dominant in the air. I've seen him get beat for headers, and I'm not with it really personally. Like, Giroud had him up a couple of times in the air. And he's supposed to be like a 6'4" commanding centre, but that's me personally. De Gea is not good in the air as well.
Yeah.
So when it comes to corners, we can see stupid free kicks, stupid corners. They're both slow, so the balls in behind are very, very easy. But I feel like they both lack a lot of strength as well, because the goal for Giroud yesterday and the goal for that Rudiger scored, if it was an own goal, whatever it was, I don't know if it was Lindelof, but if Rudiger's giving you
Lindelof.
If Rudiger's giving you movement, he's a centre back, he's giving you the Van Persie treatment, then there's a big, big problem there.
Oh, you're about the third one.
Yeah, the third goal.
Yeah, it was Maguire.
The first goal as well, problem. So I feel like people are overreacting, but at the same time, I feel like they do need to fix up. But at the same time, they're doing okay. But
right, so the people are overreacting. They need to fix up, but they're doing okay. Which one is it?
No. People are overreacting, but they're doing okay. Because I feel like people are always like, I want Koulibaly, I want this, I want that, I want that. But it doesn't work like that. If we get Koulibaly, who knows if he's going to play well with Maguire? Because Maguire has to start. He's worth 80 million and he's our captain. So it's like, who guarantees that the centre-back we're going to sign is going to improve us per se? So that's what I'm saying. We have to be a bit strategic with it. I don't want to go throw 90 million on Koulibaly.
Yeah, it's 29, isn't it?
Yeah, so we have to be a bit patient.
Oh, okay, that's it. To be honest, I've got to first and foremost that I do actually agree in terms of where you said people are overreacting. I just think it's embarrassing. Football fans nowadays, especially on social media, as you guys know, it's unbelievably fickle. Like, I remember, let's just say we stopped playing in March, if I'm not mistaken. So let's just say in December time, so like 2 months prior to the end of lockdown, people were calling for Rashford's head, calling him Trashford, etc., etc. He's never going to be good enough for Man United. Literally 1 month later, he's doing flip-flops, elasticos, he's destroying Bournemouth and all these teams. Oh, Rashford's better than Mbappe or whatever. Rashford's up there. Do you know what I mean? It's like, look, regarding the Maguire thing, I'm not going to dwell on it too much, but for me personally, I think he's done well this season. I think in this moment in time, he's having an absolute mare. I've got to be real, innit? And I think I don't think any United fan can say he's playing well. And if you are, you're being biased. He's playing shocking at the moment. However, pre-lockdown, before the season stopped, I actually thought he was playing fantastic. And a lot of people were saying Man United defense has been really good. A lot of United fans were comparing our stats, to other teams. Man United got the second most clean sheets in Europe, yada, yada, yada. A couple of bad performances and then people went rid. So I do think it's reactionary. But Jack, I'll let you have your word on it. Obviously, the two centre-backs and the goalkeeper, that triangle there, obviously, like I said, is the base of our spine, so to speak. What are your thoughts?
I agree with you. I mean, I don't think anyone could sort of you can't ever sit and justify that price we ever paid for Maguire anyway. But for what he's been, he has played well. It's just, if you're going to build a defense around someone who's tall and slow and not particularly agile, like, don't get me wrong, he's a good defender, but let's be honest, we've seen him try and run with the ball. You need someone there.
Clip. Have you seen that clip, Jack?
Yeah, running around in a circle and he just kicks it to the. I think it was to.
Mate, I remember watching that live and I was just thinking, what are you doing, man? Why you just pass it?
He's not a ball-driven centre back. He's there to do a job of winning a header, or, tackling, which he's good at. But he's slow and he can't. That's what Lindelof can do. He can run out with the ball, but I think you need to get someone who complements him better, someone who's faster or faster and taller to make up for the lack of pace. Because we've seen on the left hand side when Shaw and it was against Spurs, wasn't it? When Shaw and Maguire were both running backwards.
It was Matic actually. It was Shaw did the head. It was Matic and Maguire running back to trying to get Bergwijn.
It just seems that left hand side with Shaw and Maguire, we seem a bit hesitant and slow running back. I don't know. I just feel like, and then I just feel like you need someone. There's nothing wrong with Lindelof. He does fundamentally does his job correct.
Yeah.
But if you're going to build a team around Maguire, and as he's our captain, he signed a 6-year contract. He's not going anywhere.
Well, if you give him the captain's armband, I don't think he's going anywhere. Okay, so again another comment based on what you're saying, Jack, as well. So this is my brother, in case you don't know Jack. Obviously, Benji knows. I've realised how important Luke Shaw is since the last 2 games. He's a catalyst to our attacks down the left. I wasn't his biggest fan, but he's convinced me fully. Right, okay. So you mentioned Luke Shaw briefly, right? I'm just going to throw this theory out there. This might be completely false in it, but I just want your guys' points on it. Obviously, I've been a fan of Luke Shaw for a while, but I'm not one of those people that I don't have blind faith in players, or I don't blindly follow a player and say, oh, he's like the best thing since sliced bread. If they're doing something poor, I call them out. And I'm going to be real. Luke Shaw has been pissing me off this season because he's got the ability to go forward, but he hasn't been doing it. But the last couple of games prior to his injury, we were just starting to see a Luke Shaw that's actually doing something going forward. And also, I don't think it's a coincidence that since he's come out of the team in terms of his injury, Maguire's getting exposed. Because let's be real, okay, Luke Shaw is out of position here and there. Let's be real, that he is. But he's quite quick, to be fair to him, and he does have his recovery pace is quite good. And a lot of the times, I feel like he does come across and cover Maguire, because obviously Maguire is not the quickest, as we know. But I do think there's a case that Luke Shaw is more important than people are letting on. I know a lot of people talk about his ability going forward, but it's quite clear that we're missing him. Let's be real, because even Rashford, okay, Rashford's still playing well, but those overlapping runs, Brandon Williams hasn't got the confidence. He's a young kid. Benji, I'll pass it to you. Do you think there's any truth to that story, or do you think, or theory, shall I say, or do you think it's just utter nonsense?
I think you got a good point. Of course, he's probably our most competent. Thank you, Emmanuel. I think he's our most competent left back that we have. Of course, Brandon Williams he's a basic and versatile left back. We don't have anyone else, but I agree with what you're saying. He doesn't attack, so him on the overlap is just so useless. Like, both of our fullbacks in terms of attacking are just useless. Like, when I remember one day, I think was it Pogba pinged it just to him.
Luke Shaw, probably,
whatever. The admin had to cut the clip on the Man United Twitter page because he had some dead touch. And the thing is, him going attacking, like, look at Jordi Alba, look at Robertson. Even if you look at Ashley Young at Inter Milan, like, Luke Shaw is not doing what he's supposed to do. Because at the end of the day, as a Manchester United, we don't even need to defend that much, but we need attacking intent. Because Rashford comes in, there's no one going on the overlap. So sometimes Rashford gets defended 2v1 because Luke Shaw's not brave enough to go forward. And I agree with you. I think obviously he's our best left back, but we can get better than him, man. We need to get better.
Well, we can definitely get better. I'm not sitting here saying he's the best left back in the world or even in the league.
But for now, he's okay.
But what the point I'm making is that we are definitely missing him down the left side. You mentioned that him doing that overlapping is obviously pointless, but you're a coach. You know yourself. Sometimes an overlap is almost an assist. But let's be real. You know football, mate. You know sometimes you just take, for example, in Martial when he scored that goal against Southampton, his second one. Luke Shaw did an overlap. He must have run 60 yards to do an overlap. Fair. And then obviously that puts Martial in a 1v1. I can't remember which defender it was. And it might be Bertrand. I don't know who it was. But anyways, that guy let him come in. Oh, it was Kyle Walker-Peters, sorry. He let him come into his right foot because he wasn't sure if he was going to pass to Luke Shaw. And if you let Martial in right foot, it's game over, innit? So I'm sure as players, that Martial and Rashford, they appreciate it. We might not appreciate as fans, but I guarantee they do appreciate his work ethic, shall I say. Okay, let's talk about something else, right? And obviously, it leads me on nicely because I did mention Southampton. And I just want to put this to you guys because, again, this is another theory that I've come up with. or I'm thinking about Southampton, right? I think Southampton the reason we lost yesterday, and I'll explain. What I mean is, I feel like they did the perfect blueprint on how to beat Manchester United. The way they pressed us and harried us. If you actually look at the Chelsea performance, right? Okay, it was a good performance, not knocking them, but they copied Southampton. Let's be real. Lampard must have studied that game, and rightfully so. Fair play to him, and I would do the same. I just felt like they copied it. You saw Mason Mount pressing. They were all trigger presses. One person is obviously, you know how it works with pressing. It's all triggers, isn't it? One person goes, he sets the trigger, and then the next person goes. And then when we pass it around the back, you can just see, if you watch it back, every single time the ball was going to their side, they were onto us. And honestly, I think they've looked at Southampton and know what? That was a fantastic performance. We're going to emulate that, but obviously if we've got better players, we're going to show Man how. Like Wagwan, basically. Jack, do you think there's any truth into that? Do you think that Southampton set the foundation for other teams to look at? Even West Ham potentially think, no, we can get at them if we press them high.
Yeah, that's one thing I particularly worry about, because if obviously I don't think Ole is tactically a fantastic manager, and we have had a habit of him in the past of following the same tactic and him repetitively following the same thing in the hope that something will change, and why I'm slightly worried for West Ham, because they have a few decent players, and if we're pressed highly from the back from the offset, unless Matic is on the top form, which he wasn't against Chelsea, you see what happens when he's not. You see the panic and the sort of, like you said, like the clip of Maguire running around. It's like panic. Yeah. It's like they're pressed highly up at the top and they just don't know what to do with the ball. And then you have a Wan-Bissaka, as phenomenal as he is, like it looks bad because he's trying to get down the right wing, and then he'll try and pass the ball and it will go nowhere, and his legs will look funny, and then everyone just starts panicking a bit, and then it depends on West Ham, and obviously they only need a point to be safe, so you'd think they press highly, but I mean, we'll see. Depends on Moyes. Moyes might want revenge. You never know.
Yeah, Moyes will definitely be out there for revenge. Harris has just put, guys, we paid 80 million for a fridge. I'd rather have Zoom. At least he can skill up our whole team. Wow, what can I say about that? Obviously my thoughts on Maguire is just he's going to a rough patch. Hopefully I'm right and he comes good again. But what do you reckon, Benji? Do you think there's truth in that? We're struggling against the press. It's quite clear that, as Jack said, we seem to panic. Well, the defenders seem to panic. Even when De Gea's got the ball, I'm not comfortable when the ball's passed back to De Gea. I don't know what's going to happen.
Yeah, I agree. I agree 100% what Jack's saying. I was speaking to my friend on the phone. I think he's in the chat at the moment. I think he's on the phone before I came onto this, and he was telling me that Mason Mount was probably the most pivotal player in that formation. Every time that Wan-Bissaka got the ball, he went. There was no as soon as let's say Maguire has the ball or Lindelof has the ball, he's ready. So he will let Lindelof have it. As soon as AWB gets it, he pounces. So he gets the ball, and because he's not very good at the ball, we lose it all the time. So I feel like the way that Southampton and Chelsea played, it shows the Ollie that we need to have a different system to help us. Sometimes I don't see why we can't go long. Because even when we play out from the back, it's so slow, lethargic, and it allows other teams to grow confidence to get into the game. Yeah. So I feel like the way Chelsea played against us, they pressed us, and then they just kept on Bruno. That's all the teams have to do against us. Press our middle and get tight and try and squeeze out the pitch as much as possible. Because we don't really... Wan-Bissaka doesn't have the tech to switch it over to the left back. So once he gets it, he only goes in or he goes down the line. So I feel like this tactics were spot on, and that's comes from great coaching. And Mason Mount definitely showed us that we need to understand that, especially Wan-Bissaka. Him and the fullbacks are where they allow people to have the ball. The centre-backs, they don't mind because they're quite decent passers. But Luke Shaw and Wan-Bissaka, they're not good at passing. So when they press them, they're always making mistakes. But obviously, they didn't play the last 2 games, but it's just a theory.
Yeah, no, I think it's definitely something that other teams will look into further. In particular, Wan-Bissaka, we know his ability on the ball still is improving.
I do, man.
Yeah, honestly, we've not even mentioned it here. To be fair, I'll talk about him shortly. But yeah, regarding Wan-Bissaka, I do think there is truth in that. But at the same time, I think he needs a rest. I've got to be honest with you guys. I think he just looks dead because he's a fullback as well. You got to remember how much Dame was running. He must be covering 11 kilometers easy, comfortable a game, man. And it's like every 2 days he's going. His legs must be gone.
I agree with don't drop back as well. So
Yeah.
We'll take on it. But you mentioned De Gea. I've completely forgot about De Gea actually. Although I mentioned him briefly with the centre backs. Before we go into that, I've got another question. But I've got a few comments here.
no,
First and foremost, just a quick one. Do you guys want Chris Smalling back? Just a yes or no, Jack. What do you reckon?
If we get rid of Phil Jones, then and he replaces Phil Jones, why not?
Okay, fair enough. Benji?
no.
Honestly, no. Yeah, if you're talking about us struggling with Lindelof and Maguire at the press, Lord have mercy with Smalling on the ball with the press. That's all I'm saying. Was has put a comment saying Chris Smalling's boat has sailed. That's why I've got that wrong. Also, Emmanuel's commented as well, basically echoing what I said. Bring in Fosu Mensah. I completely agree. I don't understand why he didn't play or start at right back. He's a right back by trade. I know he can play in numerous positions, but I think he's defensively he's fairly good, man. He just needs a couple of minutes on his belt, and it gives us an opportunity to rest him. Okay, let's talk about another person that potentially might get arrested. Lads, I completely forgot, but we've got to talk about De Gea, haven't we? You know, just before we come on air, I believe, Jack, you mentioned that Henderson's made a mistake. So I'm not talking, let's bring Henderson back necessarily, but in general, what are you doing with De Gea for this game? Obviously, I want to do the last segment of the show is regarding West Ham. So you guys in the comments, if you obviously those who are joining us live, let us know what you're going to do for West Ham and your score predictions as well. We'll just obviously ask that to the guys as well. What are you doing for West Ham? Are you keeping De Gea, Benji, or are you going for Romero? What are you doing?
I'm keeping the Gale.
Why?
Because if you drop him, his confidence is going to be shot. And I know that Ollie's not going to drop him anyway, so I doubt it. I'll just keep him in the team simply because that's how we've been playing for the. I want to keep the back five secure.
Please no.
That's all I want. I want to keep the back five secure for foreseeable game. We all this chopping and changing at the back. I don't like it, especially the back five. I hate changing the back five. So he has to play Romero against Norwich. He let an easy shot as well. So it's a bit like both of them are moving a bit hag at the moment. So
might have to go in for Arsenal's Martin, isn't it? Because obviously he's the best thing since side spread at the moment. Going to Arsenal, isn't it?
I don't see why not.
Yeah, we'll see what I got in there. Jack, what do you reckon about regarding De Gea? Would you keep the faith, so to speak, for our game against West Ham?
Yeah, I mean, well, we know what happens when he makes a blunder. It's happened several times this season. Ole will come out in his press conference and say, Dave this, Dave that, you know, oh, he's a good lad, he works hard in training, you know, the usual. And then he'll play him because we've seen De Gea make mistakes before and he's never dropped them. And this won't be one to do that. Maybe it was a top 6 team, he might maybe consider it. But I mean, personally, I think we should get Henderson in at the start of next season. But I think he'll play De Gea. But whether or not De Gea, if he costs us within the first 10 minutes, then Twitter will be all over the place.
Oh yeah, I really hope he doesn't make another mistake if he is playing against West Ham. It seems like everyone in the comments, Emmanuel Harris and my brother Was, they're all agreeing with you guys to keep De Gea in there. To be honest with you, like Benji said, it's not like Romero's pulling up any trees the last time he played, and if anything, he might potentially be rusty. So I don't really want to risk it. You know, this West Ham game here, it could get us top 4 if you beat them 3-0, hypothetically speaking. But obviously, we'll have to talk about that a bit in detail. Anyways, last thing to finish off, boys. How are you feeling going into the West Ham game? Jack, we'll come to you first because obviously, like I've just mentioned, this game here could be the game. Obviously, we've got to play Leicester as well. But if we win by a substantial margin, we've kind of already got 1 foot in the Champions League. But yeah, Jack, thoughts? How are you feeling going into this game?
I suppose confident. It is Old Trafford, so it's not like we should. I wouldn't be worried about West Ham. As I was saying last, I'd be more worried about West Ham if they hadn't won the other day, but they did. So realistically, they only need 1 point, and Bournemouth have only got 1 left. So they're gonna. I don't think Bournemouth are going to be winning. I think Bournemouth are playing someone quite hard, if I remember correctly. I don't know. As I was saying earlier in the chat, actually, I was saying that it would just be nice for it to be a solid 3 or 4. You know, smacking. I wouldn't. When like Boat was saying that about talking about negativity, I just don't want us to go 1-0 up and then Ole to think tactically. Let's stick everyone at the back because look what happened when that happened against Southampton. Look what happened. We don't want that again, do we?
I'd be surprised. I'd be surprised if he does that. To be fair, also got another comment back from Izzy just before we go ask you, Benji, regarding your thoughts for the West Ham game. He's mentioned Delo.
Where is he?
I think he's not even in the squad because he's getting sold. Just quickly, Benji, what do you reckon about Delo? Is he really in contention?
Nah, we can't risk it. It's too this match is too important, man. We can't be chopping and changing for this match.
Yeah. 100%. Or what are your thoughts going into? Are you confident still, or are you feeling a bit more anxious given our last result?
To me,
yeah, for West Ham,
I'm not confident at all. My confidence is all gone in this team. To be fair, but
after
we should
one
beat
game.
them. No, because you know what it is. I've had this before, and I keep telling you, 2015, last year we thought we were going to get top 4. This is what happened. It's not guaranteed that we're going to beat West Ham. Like David Moyes, Antonio, they're not going to want to rest. If you're playing Brighton, I wouldn't really care. But West Ham, they're a bit dodgy. Players are playing for sales away. So players are playing for sales
yes,
away.
Yes, hell, my boy. Sorry, I just had to put down there. I needed the shout.
Yeah, so I don't know, man. Hopefully we do win, but I'm not confident at all. I'm even nervous. I wish it was today. The match was today.
Yeah, I'm worried.
I can see why you're worried. My only concern is the level of fitness in terms of fatigue. That's my only concern going into this game. Yes, they've got Antonio that can cause a problem up front. To be fair, West Ham have got good players. I've got to be real. They've got a lot of good players that are massively underachieved. Like obviously we know about Felipe Anderson. Yarmolenko's already scored past this season. Of course, he got that important goal against Chelsea for us. So they've got ballers in that team, obviously, Declan Rice, etc. But I agree with Jack. I just think they're not going to be on the beach, but at the same time, I would assume that they're going to think, let's be tight. They're going to play for a draw, realistically speaking. That's why I won't be surprised if this game does end up in a draw, which wouldn't be the end of the world for us. Obviously, as long as we don't lose the game. But let's just finish off with the score prediction. Jack, we'll come to you first.
3-1 United.
3-1. Okay, Benji, over to you. It'll be all at home, so
2-0.
2-0. I'm assuming that's Man United, isn't it? Obviously, of course, yeah.
Yeah, of course.
No, I never know with you guys. Rizal said, Rizal even, sorry. We should control the game from the start, man. And I completely agree. We're at home. Pogba, Bruno, we just got to do what we've done against other teams and just try to control the game. So I think they're going to allow us to control the game. And hopefully they do, man. If every team starts pressing us, I'm going to get worried.
West Ham don't press. If West Ham
they don't normally, innit? But you never know. If you are watching live, like I said, just get your score predictions in while we're finishing off the show. And obviously I'll put them on screen. West has gone 3-1 as well. So I believe Jack went 3-1. No, I can see this being a draw. I'm not going to lie. I don't know why. I just got a feeling we're going to be knackered. But
how long do you want us to be tired for? I don't understand.
I'm just basing on the way the players look. Emmanuel's gone 2-0. No, what effort, man. I'm going to say 3-0 Man United and we're in top 4.
Be positive.
3-0 Man United. I'm speaking it into existence, all right? 3-0 Bruno Masterclass. I didn't captain him on Fantasy Football, for fuck's sake. I just realised. But yeah, I know what. I'm going to go 3-0. If we do win 3-0, then that means top 4 is basically ours. We've got 2-0 aggregate going into that Leicester game. So fingers crossed. But anyways, that has been your podcast. Rizal said we're going to win 3-0, lads. So that's obviously another bit of positivity for us. Just to finish, obviously, boys, are Ollie in, yeah?
No.
I had to get it in there. Okay, right. Obviously,
Jack for manager.
Yeah, I'm 2v1 here. Comments back the homie. Anyways, like I said, that's been your podcast. Hopefully, you've enjoyed it. Jem was meant to be here as well, but God knows where he was. God knows where he's gone.
When the pressure comes on Ollie, they don't show up.
Izzy's put West Ham 3, Man United 2, so I don't know if he's put Man United or not. Hopefully you're wrong. Izzy, piss off, man. But I'm messing. Anyways, drop a like, subscribe, show the boys some love on their socials as always. It's been your boy out, Usmaan. Oh wait, I've just got one more comment actually. Just got to put this one on the screen, just over Jack's face.
No.
Screenshot it. Someone
No, wait,
screenshot
that's the
it.
question we go though. Jack,
Yeah,
when
go
you
on.
went Old Trafford, did you sing Ollie at the Wheel?
No.
Are you sure?
Wow, you heard it here first.
Those were-
Breaking news:
Wow.
Jack's never sang Ollie at the wheel. Anyways, on. Oh god, this I was pissing himself laughing in the comments. Anyways, on that note, boys, peace in a bit.
A little bit.
Yeah.
That's if I ever end the podcast. Probably not.